Admiral Kextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. The massive ship was 3 miles long and carried enough weapons to destroy a planet. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. They had done this many times before. Find a weak planet. Demand they surrender. Take their resources. Move on to the next target. The Zephyrian Empire controlled 12 star systems. They had conquered over 300 worlds in the past 500 years. Most planets gave up without a fight. The few that tried to resist were quickly crushed. Kextar had never lost a battle. "Admiral, we are approaching the target system," said his navigation officer. The young Zephyrian looked nervous. This was his first invasion. Kextar nodded. He studied the star charts on his main screen. The target was a small yellow star with several planets. The third planet from the star showed signs of life. The locals called it Earth, according to old records. "What do we know about them?" Kextar asked his intelligence officer. "Very little, sir. They call themselves humans. They have basic space, travel, some mining operations in their asteroid belt. No military ships that we can detect. Their biggest vessels appear to be cargo haulers." Kextar smiled. Another easy conquest. The humans would probably surrender as soon as they saw his fleet. Most species did. "How many ships do they have?" "Perhaps 200, sir. All civilian craft, no weapon signatures." "And their technology. Level?" "Primitive. They still use chemical rockets for most of their space travel. No energy shields, no plasma weapons. They seem to be about 300 years behind us." Kextar turned away from the screen. 300 years behind. That meant they would be helpless against even his smallest ships. "Signal the fleet. We advance to the outer edge of their system. Standard invasion formation." 47 Zephyrian. Ships moved through space like a steel wall. Each dreadnought carried thousands of troops and enough firepower to level cities. Their hulls gleamed in the starlight. Energy shields shimmered around them like soap bubbles. On the far side of the solar system, Jake Morrison watched the approaching fleet on his scanner. He was standing in the control room of Olympus 7, a mining station in the asteroid belt. The station looked like a simple metal structure attached to a large rock. Most people would think it was just another mining operation. Jake was 43 years old. He had worked in space for 20 years. He had brown hair that was starting to turn gray and calm blue eyes. People trusted him because he always stayed calm under pressure. "How many ships?" asked his assistant, Maria Lopez. 47. "Big ones. Maybe 100 smaller escort ships." Jake kept his voice steady. He did not want to worry his crew. "Should we send a message to Earth?" Maria asked. "No. Radio silence. Just like the protocols say." Maria nodded. She had trained for this day, but she still felt scared. Everyone in human space knew about the aliens. For 300 years, Earth had watched other species get conquered. They learned that aliens always attacked planets that seemed weak and defenseless. 200 years ago, humanity made a decision. They would never advertise their strength. They would never respond to alien messages. They would appear weak and helpless until the perfect moment to strike back. On Earth, Captain Lisa Park sat in her office at the Global Defense Command. She was 38 years old with short black hair and sharp green eyes. She had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. Her computer screen showed the alien fleet approaching. Red dots moved across a map of the solar system. Each dot represented a ship that could destroy cities. "Ma'am, should we activate the defense grid?" asked her communications officer. "Not yet. Let them get closer. Let them think we are helpless." Lisa pulled up classified files on her computer. The real defense network was hidden throughout the solar system. Weapons platforms disguised as mining equipment, military ships that looked like cargo haulers, battle stations built inside asteroids that appeared to be empty rocks. For 300 years, humanity had been building this trap. Every mining operation had a secret purpose. Every civilian ship carried hidden weapons. Every space station could become a fortress when needed. The aliens thought they were approaching a weak planet with primitive technology. They had no idea they were flying into the most elaborate military deception in galactic history. Dr. Alex. Chen worked in his laboratory on Luna Research Station. He was 35 years old and very smart. He had studied alien species for his entire career. He knew exactly how they thought. Alex watched the alien ships on his monitor. They were moving in a perfect formation, no scouts ahead, no flanking maneuvers. They felt completely safe. "They think we are just another primitive species," Alex said to his research team. "They expect us to panic and surrender." "What if they are right?" asked one of his assistants. "What if our weapons are not good enough?" Alex smiled. "Our weapons are better than theirs. We just do not show them off." The truth was that human technology had advanced much faster than anyone expected. While other species fought wars and conquered planets, humans had focused on research and development. They built better weapons, stronger ships, and smarter defense systems, but they never used them in public. Every human ship looked old and weak. Every space station appeared defenseless. Every planet seemed like an easy target. The Zephyrian fleet reached the edge of the solar system. Admiral Kextar ordered his ships to scan for defenses. The results came back exactly as expected. "No military installations detected, sir," reported his sensor officer. "No energy shields around their planets. No weapon platforms in orbit." "What? About their ships?" "All civilian craft, sir. Mining equipment and cargo haulers. Nothing that could threaten us." Kextar felt satisfied. This would be over quickly. "Send them our standard surrender demand. Give them 12 hours to respond." The message went out to Earth and all human colonies. It was the same message the Zephyrians had sent to hundreds of worlds before. Surrender now, or be destroyed. But this time, something different happened. The humans did not respond at all. No panicked transmissions, no pleas for mercy. Complete silence. On Earth, Lisa Park read the alien message and smiled. The trap was working perfectly. The aliens expected fear and begging. Instead, they got nothing at all. "Ma'am, should we send a response?" asked her communications officer. "No, let them think we are too primitive to understand their message. Let them think we are not worth their attention." The silence confused Admiral Kextar. In his experience, primitive species always responded to surrender demands. They either gave up immediately or sent angry messages about fighting back. This silence was something new. It made him slightly uncomfortable. "Perhaps they do not understand our language," suggested his intelligence officer. "Or perhaps they are too frightened to respond," said another officer. Kextar decided it did not matter. Tomorrow he would move his fleet into the inner system and destroy one of their space stations. That would get their attention. Then they would surrender like everyone else. He had no idea that humanity was counting on exactly that reaction. The trap was almost ready to spring. Admiral Kextar woke up feeling confident. Today he would show these humans the power of the Zephyrian Empire. His fleet had spent the night at the edge of their solar system. 47 massive dreadnoughts waited for his command. Each ship was a floating city. The Eternal Glory alone carried 50,000 troops and enough weapons to turn a planet into glass. The humans had nothing that could even scratch his paint. "Status report," Kextar demanded as he entered the bridge. "All ships ready, sir," said his first officer. "The humans still have not responded to our surrender demand." "No response at all?" "Complete silence, sir. Their ships continue normal operations. Mining, cargo runs, routine maintenance. They act like we are not even here." Kextar frowned. This was unusual. Most species either surrendered immediately or sent threatening messages. The silence bothered him, but he pushed the feeling away. "Perhaps they are too primitive to understand the situation," he said. "We will educate them." On Earth, General Nancy Rodriguez sat in her command bunker 3 miles underground. She was 51 years old and had gray hair. She had spent 30 years studying alien invasion tactics. She knew exactly what the Zephyrians would do next. "They will attack one of our outer stations," she told her staff. "Something big enough to get our attention, but not important enough to really hurt us." "Which target do you think they will choose?" asked Colonel Danny Wright. Nancy looked at the tactical display. Red dots showed alien ship positions. Blue dots showed human installations. Most of the blue dots were fake. Mining Platform Delta 7. It is the biggest target in the asteroid belt. It looks valuable and defenseless. Colonel Wright smiled. Perfect. That platform has been ready for 6 months. Mining Platform Delta 7 was not really a mining platform. It was a massive bomb disguised as a space station. If the aliens attacked it, the explosion would be spectacular. It would also jam their sensors and confuse their tactical computers. The real mining operations were hidden inside asteroids. The aliens could not see them because they looked like ordinary rocks. Dr. Alex Chen monitored alien communications from his lab on the moon. The Zephyrians were not trying to hide their plans. They thought humans were too primitive to understand their language. They are planning to destroy an outer station as a demonstration, Alex reported to Earth Command. They want to shock us into surrendering. Any change in their formation? Asked Lisa Park over the radio. No. They are still using standard invasion tactics. No scouts, no flanking maneuvers. They think this will be easy. Alex shook his head. The aliens were making every mistake possible. They refused to scout ahead. They traveled in predictable formations. They assumed human technology was weak. Captain Roy Baker waited inside a hollowed-out asteroid near mining platform Delta 7. His hiding place looked like a chunk of worthless rock, but it contained enough explosives to crack a moon. Roy was 39 years old with red hair and a beard. He had been a demolitions expert in the Earth military before joining the Space Forces. He loved blowing things up, especially when it helped protect his home. Enemy fleet is moving, reported his sensor operator. 12 ships heading toward Delta 7. Right on schedule, Roy said. Are the charges ready? Yes, sir. Delta 7 will blow up like a small star when they hit it. Roy watched his screens as the alien ships approached. They moved slowly and carefully, scanning everything in their path. They found exactly what they expected to find: a helpless mining station with no defenses. The Zephyrians had no idea that every asteroid in the belt could be a hidden weapon. They saw rocks and ignored them. It was exactly what humanity wanted. Lieutenant Susan Carter piloted her ship, the Pacifica, through the outer system. To alien sensors, her vessel looked like an old cargo hauler carrying mining equipment. The hull was dirty and scratched. The engines looked ancient. In reality, the Pacifica was one of the most advanced ships in human space. Hidden weapons could emerge from secret panels. The ancient engines could outrun anything the aliens had. The cargo hold was full of military equipment. Susan was 28 years old with blonde hair and blue eyes. She looked like a peaceful cargo pilot, but she had been trained as a Special Forces operative. Her mission was to plant tracking devices on alien ships. Target approaching, said her co-pilot, Pete Johnson. 2 Zephyrian destroyers, just like the plan said. Good. Let me know when we are in position. The Pacifica drifted between the 2 alien ships like a piece of space junk. The destroyers ignored her completely. She was too small and weak to be a threat. Susan smiled as she quietly attached thermal charges to both ships. The aliens would never notice them until it was too late. She also planted tracking beacons that would help human forces target their attacks. Charges placed, she reported. Moving to next target. Admiral Kekstar watched his attack force approach the mining platform. Everything was going perfectly. The humans showed no signs of resistance. Their cargo ships continued normal operations, as if nothing was happening. Target acquired, reported his weapons officer. Mining platform Delta 7. No shields, no weapons, no escape pods launching. Fire when ready. The lead Zephyrian ship opened fire with its main particle beam. The HFY weapon was designed to punch through the armor of enemy warships. Against a simple mining platform, it should have been instant destruction. Instead, something unexpected happened. The mining platform exploded like a supernova. The blast was so bright it temporarily blinded the alien sensors. Electromagnetic pulses scrambled their communications. Debris scattered in all directions, some pieces moving fast enough to damage nearby ships. What was that? Kekstar demanded. Unknown, sir. The platform must have been carrying explosive materials. That was not a normal explosion. Scan for other threats. But the alien sensors were still recovering from the blast. They could not see the hidden weapons emerging from nearby asteroids. They could not detect the cargo ships that were suddenly changing course to attack positions. Major Ben Torres coordinated the trap from Europa Station. The 44-year-old tactical officer had planned this operation for 3 years. Every detail had been carefully considered. Phase 1 complete, he reported to Earth Command. The aliens are exactly where we want them. Any changes in their behavior? Asked General Rodriguez. They are confused but not alarmed. They think the explosion was an accident. They are moving deeper into the system as planned. Ben smiled as he watched the tactical display. The alien fleet was following exactly the path human computers had predicted. Every step brought them closer to the perfect kill zone. The Zephyrians had spent centuries conquering weak species. They expected fear and surrender. They had never faced an enemy that could think 3 steps ahead. Admiral Kextar ordered his fleet to advance toward the inner planets. The humans needed to see overwhelming force. Once they understood they could not win, they would surrender, like every other species. "Sir, we are detecting multiple ships fleeing toward Earth," reported his sensor officer. "Cargo haulers?" "Yes, sir. They appear to be evacuating the outer stations." Kextar nodded with satisfaction. The humans were finally showing proper fear. Soon they would beg for mercy. He had no idea that the fleeing ships were actually moving into attack positions. The evacuation was the final stage of humanity's trap. Captain Martinez commanded one of those fleeing ships from her bridge. The new frontier looked like a converted asteroid miner, but it was actually a heavy cruiser with enough firepower to destroy anything in the alien fleet. "All ships report ready," she told her crew. "The aliens are taking the bait perfectly." "Ma'am, should we feel bad about what we are going to do to them?" asked her weapons officer. Martinez thought about all the species the aliens had conquered, all the worlds they had destroyed, all the people they had enslaved. "No," she said quietly. "They chose to invade our home. Now they will learn why that was a mistake." The trap was almost ready to spring. Soon the aliens would discover that humanity was not the helpless prey they expected. The Zephyrian fleet moved deeper into the human solar system like a pack of hunters. Admiral Kextar felt confident as his ships passed the asteroid belt. The humans were behaving exactly as expected. Their cargo ships fled toward the inner planets, in obvious panic. "Sir, we are receiving multiple distress signals from human vessels," reported his communications officer. "What are they saying?" "Standard emergency broadcasts, ships requesting evacuation assistance, colonies asking for protection, the usual panic from a defeated species." Kextar smiled. Soon the humans would send official surrender messages. Then he could begin the real work of conquest. Captain Roy Baker watched the alien fleet from his hidden position inside the asteroid Series 47. His control room was carved deep inside the rock. To alien sensors, it looked like just another chunk of space debris. Roy had spent 2 years preparing this position. The asteroid was actually a massive weapons platform with enough firepower to destroy a dozen ships. But from outside, it looked completely harmless. "Enemy fleet is entering the kill zone," reported his weapons officer. "How many ships?" 47 large vessels, plus about 100 escorts. They are using standard invasion formation." Roy shook his head. The aliens never learned. They had been conquering weak species for so long that they forgot how to fight a real enemy. "Target the command ship first, the big one in the center." On Earth, Lisa Park coordinated the defense from her underground bunker. Banks of computers showed the position of every ship in the solar system. Green dots were human forces. Red dots were aliens. The aliens thought they were chasing a handful of fleeing cargo ships. They had no idea they were surrounded by over 300 hidden warships. "All units report ready," said her communications officer. "Good. Wait for my signal. We only get one chance to do this right." Lisa had studied the aliens for years. They were powerful, but predictable. They always used the same tactics. They always underestimated their enemies. Today, those habits would destroy them. Lieutenant Susan Carter continued her mission aboard the Pacifica. Her ship still looked like a harmless cargo hauler, but she had planted tracking devices on 12 alien vessels. The bombs she left behind would activate when the battle started. "Ma'am, the aliens are ignoring us completely," said her co-pilot, Pete Johnson. "Perfect. That means we can get even closer." Susan guided her ship between two massive Zephyrian dreadnoughts. The alien crews probably did not even know she was there. Her ship was too small and weak to register as a threat. She quietly attached more thermal charges to their hulls. Each bomb was small but powerful enough to crack armor plating. When they exploded together, they would cripple both ships. "Charges planted," she reported. Moving to final position. Admiral Kextar stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger. On his main screen, the blue and white planet looked peaceful and defenseless. No orbital weapons platforms, no military stations, no sign that these humans could fight back. "Sir, should we begin bombardment?" asked his weapons officer. "Not yet. Send another surrender demand. Give them one last chance to submit peacefully." The message went out to Earth and all human colonies. Surrender now or watch your worlds burn. It was the same ultimatum the Zephyrians had sent to hundreds of species, but again the humans did not respond. Complete silence from every human installation. "Perhaps their communications are damaged," suggested his first officer. "Or perhaps they are too frightened to answer," said another officer. Kextar was starting to feel annoyed. The silence was unnatural. Every species responded to surrender demands, even if they refused to give up. Colonel Danny Wright monitored the alien communications from his position beneath the Pacific Ocean. He was 46 years old and had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. His bunker contained the control systems for humanity's greatest secret weapon, a network of quantum interference generators hidden throughout the solar system. When activated, they would jam all alien communications. "Sir, should we begin jamming?" asked his technician. "Not yet. Let them get a little closer to Earth first." Danny wanted the aliens to be completely committed to their attack before he cut their communications. Once they could not talk to each other, their coordination would collapse. The quantum jammers were built into mining equipment, cargo ships, and space stations. The aliens had been looking at them for hours without realizing what they were. Dr. Alex Chen watched the alien fleet from his laboratory on the moon. He had been studying their behavior since they arrived. Everything they did was predictable. "They are following standard Zephyrian invasion doctrine," he reported to Earth Command. "No deviations from the textbook." "Any sign they suspect a trap?" asked General Rodriguez. "None. They think we are helpless, primitives. They expect us to surrender or die." Alex felt sorry for the aliens. They had grown so used to easy victories that they forgot how to be careful. Today they would learn that arrogance was a deadly weakness. Major Ben Torres prepared for the final phase from his command post on Europa. His tactical computers showed the perfect moment approaching. The alien fleet was moving into the exact position human strategists had planned for. "All hidden assets report ready," he announced. "The asteroids are in position. The disguised ships are ready to reveal their weapons. The kill zone is fully prepared." "How long until they reach optimal range?" asked his assistant. 12 minutes, then we spring the trap." Ben had studied every major space battle in galactic history. The key to victory was always the same. Make your enemy think they were winning until the moment you destroyed them. "Captain." Martinez watched the aliens approach from her position aboard the New Frontier. Her ship still looked like a converted mining vessel, but hidden weapon ports were ready to open. Her crew was trained and eager to fight. "Ma'am, the aliens are passing our position," reported her sensor officer. "Good. Let them think we are running away. Soon they will learn the truth." Martinez had lost friends to alien raiders when she was young. Today she would get revenge for every human who had suffered at alien hands. The Zephyrian fleet reached Earth's orbit and took position around the planet. Admiral Kextar felt completely victorious. He held an entire world hostage. Surely the humans would surrender now. "Sir, still no response from the planet's surface," reported his communications officer. "Then we will force a response. Target their largest city and prepare to fire." But as the admiral gave his order, strange things began to happen. His communications with other ships started breaking up. Static filled the radio channels. Ship-to-ship coordination became impossible. "What is happening to our communications?" Kextar demanded. "Unknown, sir. Some kind of interference. It appears to be coming from multiple sources." At that moment, Colonel Wright activated the quantum jamming network. Invisible signals flooded space around Earth, blocking all alien transmissions. The Zephyrian fleet was suddenly blind and deaf. "Sir, we have lost contact with the fleet," his communications officer reported in panic. "Impossible. Fix it immediately." "I cannot, sir. The interference is too strong." Admiral Kextar felt the first touch of real fear. Without communications, his ships could not coordinate their attacks. They were like a pack of wolves that had suddenly gone deaf. Then the second surprise hit them. The cargo ships that had been fleeing toward Earth suddenly stopped running. External panels fell away to reveal military-grade weapons. The Pacifica alone destroyed 2 Zephyrian destroyers before they understood what was happening. "We are under attack," screamed his tactical officer. "The cargo ships are actually warships." But the biggest shock was yet to come. All around them, asteroids began moving. Chunks of rock that had been floating in space for hours suddenly revealed hidden engines and weapon systems. What the aliens had thought was empty space was actually filled with disguised battleships. The entire asteroid belt was a hidden fleet. Master Chief Pete Johnson coordinated the asteroid attack from his position inside Vesta 12. His mining station was actually a command ship disguised as a rock. "All asteroid units, begin attack," he ordered. Dozens of hidden weapons platforms opened fire at once. Particle beams and missile salvos filled space with deadly light. The aliens found themselves surrounded by enemies they never knew existed. "Sir, we are trapped," reported Kextar's tactical officer. "Enemy ships on all sides. We cannot retreat without fighting through them." Admiral Kextar stared at his tactical display in horror. Every assumption about human capabilities had been wrong. These were not primitive miners. They were warriors, who had learned to hide their strength. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a trap, and he had led his fleet right into it. "All ships, emergency battle stations," he ordered. "Fight your way out." But it was already too late. The trap had been sprung. The real battle was about to begin. The space around Earth erupted into chaos. What had seemed like empty vacuum moments before was now filled with weapons fire and explosions. Admiral Kextar watched in shock as his mighty fleet was torn apart by enemies that had been invisible just minutes ago. "Return fire. All ships return fire," he ordered, but his words could not reach most of his fleet. The human jamming system blocked almost all communications between Zephyrian ships. The flagship Eternal Glory shuddered as human missiles struck its hull. Alarms rang throughout the bridge. Kextar had never experienced damage to his own ship before. In 500 years of conquest, the Zephyrians had always been the ones doing the attacking. "Damage report," he shouted. "Hull breach on deck 12, his engineer reported. "Shield generators are overloading. We are losing power to main weapons." "How is that possible? Their technology is supposed to be primitive." Captain Martinez smiled grimly as she watched the New Frontier's weapons tear into an alien destroyer. Her ship had dropped its disguise completely now. Where mining equipment had been attached to the hull, heavy particle cannons were now firing deadly beams of energy. "Target the next ship in line," she ordered her weapons officer. "Ma'am, they are trying to retreat," reported her sensor operator. "Do not let them. We want survivors, but not many of them." Martinez had waited her whole career for this moment. The aliens thought they could invade human space and steal whatever they wanted. Today they would learn that humanity did not give up its freedom easily. Lieutenant Susan Carter watched her thermal charges explode across the hull of a Zephyrian dreadnought. The small bombs she had planted earlier were designed to target critical systems, engine ports, weapon mounts, shield generators. "Direct hits on all targets," reported Pete Johnson. "Their main engines are offline." "Good. Move to the next ship on our list." The Pacifica was no longer pretending to be a cargo hauler. Hidden weapon bays had opened along her hull. Advanced missile systems fired volleys of smart projectiles that could track and destroy enemy fighters. Susan felt proud of her crew. They had trained for years in secret, preparing for the day when humanity would have to defend itself. Today, all that training was paying off. Master Chief Pete Johnson coordinated the asteroid fortress attack from deep inside Vesta 12. His screens showed dozens of hidden weapons platforms emerging from rocks throughout the solar system. Fortress 7, target the enemy command ship, he ordered. Fortress 7 confirms, targeting the big one in the center. Pete watched as kilometer-long rocks opened fire with weapons more advanced than anything the aliens possessed. What the Zephyrians had thought was a simple asteroid belt was actually the largest space fortress ever built. Each asteroid contained fusion reactors, particle beam arrays, and missile launchers. The humans had spent decades hollowing out rocks and filling them with military equipment. From outside, they looked like worthless space debris. Colonel Danny Wright monitored the jamming operation from his underwater bunker. The quantum interference network was working perfectly. Alien ships could not coordinate their attacks or call for reinforcements. "Sir, the aliens are trying to break through our jamming," reported his technician. "Let them try. They do not understand our technology well enough to counter it." Danny smiled as he watched his screens. The aliens were used to fighting enemies who used similar technology. They had no idea how to deal with quantum-based systems that operated on completely different principles. The jamming network had been built over 50 years by the best scientists on Earth. Every component was hidden inside normal-looking equipment: mining robots, cargo containers, communication satellites. The aliens had been staring at the weapons that would defeat them and never realized what they were looking at. Dr. Alex Chen watched the battle from his laboratory on the moon. His instruments were recording everything for later analysis. He wanted to understand exactly how alien technology worked, so humanity could defend against it in the future. "The alien shields are weaker than expected," he reported to Earth Command. "Our weapons are penetrating them easily." "Why are they so vulnerable?" asked General Rodriguez over the radio. "They have grown soft from centuries of easy conquest. Their shields are designed to stop primitive weapons, not military-grade particle beams." Alex had studied reports from 12 different species that had been conquered by the Zephyrians. They all made the same mistake. They fought using predictable tactics with obvious weapons. The aliens had never faced an enemy that could hide its true capabilities. Admiral Kextar realized his fleet was doomed. Half his ships were already destroyed or disabled. The survivors were scattered and unable to communicate with each other. Enemy fire came from every direction. "Sir, we must retreat," urged his first officer. "Retreat to where? We are surrounded." Kextar studied his tactical display with growing horror. The humans had not just hidden a few ships, they had disguised their entire military as civilian operations. Every cargo hauler was actually a warship. Every mining station was actually a fortress. Every asteroid could be a hidden weapons platform. "How many ships do they really have?" he asked his intelligence officer. "Unknown, sir. Our initial count was completely wrong. They could have 1,000 ships or more." 1,000 ships. The Zephyrian fleet had faced enemies with superior numbers before, but never enemies with superior technology and superior tactics at the same time. Captain Roy Baker emerged from his hidden position inside Series 47. His asteroid fortress was the size of a small moon and carried enough firepower to destroy an entire fleet. For 2 years he had waited patiently for this moment. "Target the alien flagship," he ordered his weapons crew. "Sir, that ship is heavily armored. Our standard weapons might not be enough." "Then we use the special ones." Roy smiled as he activated weapons that had never been tested in real combat. Humanity had been developing military technology in secret for 300 years. Today the aliens would see innovations they could not imagine. A beam of pure energy lanced out from the asteroid. It was not a particle beam or plasma cannon. It was something completely new. A weapon that disrupted matter at the atomic level. Where it touched the alien flagship, armor simply ceased to exist. "Direct hit," reported his gunner. "The enemy ship is venting atmosphere." The eternal glory shook like a toy in an earthquake. Admiral Kextar was thrown to the floor as his ship lost structural integrity. Emergency lights flickered on and off. "All hands abandon ship," he ordered. but there was nowhere to run. Human ships surrounded the escape pods as they launched. Some pods were captured, others were destroyed. The Admiral found himself floating in space, watching his mighty fleet die around him. Major Ben Torres coordinated the final assault from Europa Station. His tactical computers calculated that the battle would be over within the hour. The aliens had walked into a perfect trap. "Sir, some enemy ships are trying to escape," reported his assistant. "Let them go. We want survivors to carry word back to their empire." Ben had studied military history since he was a child. He knew that sometimes it was better to let a few enemies escape than to destroy them all. Fear was a powerful weapon. When other aliens heard what happened here, they would think twice before attacking humanity. Captain Martinez watched 3 Zephyrian ships flee toward the edge of the solar system. Her sensors could have tracked them easily, but she ordered her weapons crews to hold their fire. "Ma'am, should we pursue them?" asked her tactical officer. "No, let them run. Let them tell their friends what they saw here." Martinez felt satisfied as she looked at the wreckage floating around Earth. The aliens had come here expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found an enemy that had been preparing for war for 3 centuries. The battle was almost over. 47 alien ships that had entered the solar system. Only 3 would escape. The rest were destroyed or captured. Not a single human vessel had been lost. Admiral Kextar floated in his escape pod, rescued by a human ship. He was now a prisoner of the species he had planned to conquer. The irony was not lost on him. Through the small window of his pod, he could see the wreckage of his fleet. Hundreds of years of Zephyrian naval tradition had been destroyed in less than 6 hours. He thought about the reports he would have to give if he survived. How could he explain that a primitive species had weapons more advanced than anything in the Empire? How could he describe tactics so clever that his entire fleet had been trapped without realizing it? The humans had appeared weak and defenseless, but they were actually apex predators who had learned to hide their strength. They had turned their entire solar system into a weapon designed to destroy overconfident invaders. As his pod was pulled into the cargo bay of a human ship, Admiral Kextar understood the lesson he had been taught. Arrogance was the most dangerous enemy any warrior could face. Today, his arrogance had cost him everything. The silence after battle was almost peaceful. Where space had been filled with weapons fire and explosions just hours before, now only debris drifted slowly around Earth. The wreckage of 44 Zephyrian ships created a metal graveyard in orbit. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of the new frontier, watching salvage crews collect alien technology. Her ship had returned to its disguise as a mining vessel, but she felt different now. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy. There would be no going back to hiding. "Ma'am, we have collected over 300 prisoners," reported her security. "Chief, are they talking?" "Some of them. They seem shocked that we defeated them so easily. They keep asking how we hid so many ships." Martinez smiled. The aliens still did not understand what had happened to them. They thought in terms of ships and weapons. They could not grasp that humanity had turned an entire solar system into a single massive trap. Dr. Kelly Adams examined pieces of alien technology in her laboratory aboard the research ship Discovery. She was 33 years old with red hair and curious brown eyes. As a physicist, she was fascinated by how primitive Zephyrian weapons actually were. "Their particle beams are powerful but inefficient," she told her research team. "They waste enormous amounts of energy. Our weapons are much more elegant." "How is that possible?" asked her assistant. "They have been spacefaring for over 1,000 years. That is exactly the problem. They stopped innovating centuries ago. When you always win easily, you stop trying to improve." Kelly held up a piece of alien armor. It was thick and strong, but also heavy and inflexible. Human armor was lighter, stronger, and could adapt to different types of attacks. They built their technology for intimidation, not efficiency. Big ships, loud weapons, impressive but wasteful. The 3 surviving Zephyrian ships had escaped to the edge of the solar system and jumped to hyperspace. Admiral Kextar was now a prisoner, but his surviving officers carried news of the defeat back to the Empire. General Eddie Clark reviewed the post-battle reports from his office in the rebuilt Pentagon. He was 54 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent his entire career preparing for this day, but he knew the real work was just beginning. "How many alien ships did we destroy?" he asked his aide. 44 confirmed destroyed. "Sir, 3 escaped. We captured over 500 prisoners and recovered most of their technology." "Good. What about our losses?" 0 ships lost, sir. 17 wounded. No deaths. The aliens never managed to target our hidden installations." Eddie felt proud of the victory but also worried about the future. Humanity had proven it could defend itself, but that would bring new challenges. Other alien species would now see humans as a threat instead of potential victims. The news of the defeat reached the Zephyrian homeworld 3 weeks later. Emperor Vexcool read the battle reports in his throne room, surrounded by his military advisors. He could not believe what he was reading. 44 ships destroyed? By primitive humans? "Yes, Your Majesty," said Fleet Admiral Tergox. The survivors confirmed the reports. The humans had been preparing a trap for decades. They disguised their entire military as civilian operations. How is such deception possible? "Unknown, Your Majesty. Our intelligence reports completely underestimated their capabilities." Emperor Vexcool felt his empire shake around him. The Zephyrians had built their reputation on overwhelming force and easy victory. If word spread that humans had destroyed an entire invasion fleet, other species might begin to resist. "Send no more ships to human space," he ordered. "Mark their system as forbidden territory." "Yes, Your Majesty." "Should we attempt to negotiate with them?" "No, leave them alone. We have learned our lesson." But the lesson came too late. News of the human victory spread throughout the galaxy faster than the Zephyrians could control it. Species that had been conquered or enslaved began to whisper about resistance. On the planet Kepler 442b, a group of enslaved miners heard the story from a traveling merchant. The humans had seemed weak and helpless, but they destroyed their invaders completely. Maybe other weak species could do the same thing. On Proxima Centauri C, colonists who paid tribute to the Zephyrian Empire began to wonder if they needed protection anymore. If humans could defeat the Empire's navy, maybe the Empire was not as strong as everyone thought. Captain Jake Morrison returned to his duties aboard Olympus 7, but the mining station was different now. Hidden weapons remained partially deployed. The disguise was not as complete as before. "Sir, do you think they will come back?" asked Maria Lopez. "Not the Zephyrians, but other species will come eventually. Word is spreading that humanity is no longer hiding." Jake looked out at the asteroid belt, where dozens of hidden fortresses continued their patrols. The secret was out now. Humanity would have to face the galaxy as an equal, not as prey. Lisa Park worked late in her office at Global Defense Command. Intelligence reports showed massive changes throughout known space. The Zephyrian Empire was pulling back from frontier territories. Several subject worlds had declared independence. Other alien empires were re-evaluating their expansion plans. "Ma'am, we are receiving diplomatic messages from 12 different species," reported her communications officer. "What kind of messages?" "Mostly requests for non-aggression pacts. A few asking about trade agreements. Everyone wants to avoid conflict. With us now." Lisa felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. For 300 years, humanity had avoided galactic politics by pretending to be weak. Now they were suddenly major players in a very dangerous game. Dr. Alex Chen published his analysis of the battle in classified reports that were distributed to every human colony. His conclusions were both encouraging and frightening. "We won because we were underestimated," he wrote. "But that advantage is now gone forever. Future enemies will know to take us seriously." Alex recommended that humanity continue developing new technologies in secret. The next war might be against enemies who understood human capabilities. They would need every advantage they could get. Admiral Kextar sat in his prison cell aboard a human space station. He had been treated well, but his pride was broken. The greatest naval commander in Zephyrian history had been defeated by cargo pilots and miners. A human officer came to interview him every day. Today it was Captain Martinez herself. "Do you understand what happened to your fleet?" she asked. hid your weapons. You deceived us about your capabilities. That is only part of it. Do you know why we were able to deceive you? Kextar thought about the question. He had been replaying the battle in his mind for weeks, trying to understand where he went wrong. Because we assumed you were like the other species we conquered. Exactly. You expected us to fight like everyone else. You expected us to be afraid. You expected us to give up. But you did not. No. We have been watching the galaxy for centuries. We learned from the mistakes of others. We prepared for the day when someone like you would come. Kextar finally understood the depth of his failure. The humans had not just hidden their weapons. They had hidden their entire civilization's true nature. While other species built obvious defenses, humans built invisible ones. While others showed their strength, humans showed their weakness. Your people are natural predators, he said quietly. Perhaps. But we only hunt those who hunt us first. 6 months after the battle, humanity began its first diplomatic missions to other worlds. Ambassador Patricia Williams led a small fleet to the Centauri system to meet with representatives of the local species council. Patricia was 45 years old with black hair and intelligent dark eyes. She had been chosen for her ability to negotiate with alien cultures. Her mission was to establish humanity as a peaceful but strong member of the galactic community. Remember, she told her staff as they approached the meeting station, we are not the same species that hid in our solar system for 3 centuries, but we are not conquerors either. We want peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. The first diplomatic meeting would set the tone for humanity's future in the galaxy. Other species would be watching to see whether humans were potential allies or threats. As the human fleet arrived at the neutral meeting station, Patricia felt the weight of history on her shoulders. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human participation in galactic affairs had begun. The price of Zephyrian arrogance had been paid in blood and starships. But the real cost was the loss of their empire's reputation for invincibility. In trying to conquer a species they thought was weak, they had revealed their own weaknesses to the entire galaxy. Humanity had emerged from hiding, but they had also learned a valuable lesson. Strength was important, but wisdom was even more important. They would need both to survive in a galaxy full of potential enemies and uncertain allies. The story of the invasion had become a legend throughout known space. The humans who appeared helpless but fought like demons. The species that turned their weakness into a weapon. The civilization that waited 3 centuries for the perfect moment to reveal their true power. And in the ruins of the Zephyrian invasion, fleet drifting slowly around a blue world called Earth, the galaxy had found a new truth. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy was the one you never saw coming.